Welcome to the news in brief. President Emmerson Mnangagwa is worried over the United States of America's presence in Zambia and has since called on Russian leader Vladimir Putin to help fund Zimbabwe's defense and food security. Mnangagwa, who met the Russian president in St. Petersburg for an economic forum, told his counterpart that Zimbabwe will continue to turn to Russia and not the former colonial masters because the West wanted to see him fail.
The relations just ended there. And thereafter, both the British and the Americans have not looked upon us. They think that we are too much inclined to the East. But we have no apologies at all. We feel we are better in relations with the people who also respect us, not the persons who look down upon us. So we are very happy to be here. And we are anxious to actually have our relations more comprehensive and consolidated between ourselves. Yes, we are a very advanced country, but there's a lot that we can learn from you. There's a lot that we can benefit from that relationship. And there's a lot that we can open for the Russian Federation to participate in our economy, especially in the mining sector and in agriculture. There's a lot that we can afford for you to participate. And in that process, the West will run away. You see, the West have just begun consolidating their power in Zambia, our next neighbor. You know, there was a time when Zambia and Zimbabwe won. It was called Northern and Southern Rhodesia. It was won by the British, but we are now separate. And the Americans are consolidating their power in that country, both in terms of security and in terms of financial support to Zambia, to make sure that we feel lonely. But that will not change us because we have taken a course which, as a people, that we feel we want to be independent and we choose our friends ourselves. And besides, we are independent today because most of us in the leadership trained here during our war of liberation. We got our independence because we were supported by yourselves here, and you don't forget that history, and you stood by us. So, Mr. President, I am happy to be here, and if opportunity avails later on, we may find time to chat and go into more detail as which areas we must focus in terms of supporting each other and in terms of where we feel we need external support, more especially in the area of defense and security as well as food security. In those areas we need to be supported, the mechanization of our agriculture and so on. You can't go to the West. We have to come here because the West would want to see us down. They support our neighbors, Zambia and Malawi, very heavily. But in spite of that, Zimbabwe's economic growth is the fastest growing economy in the region, in spite of us being isolated by the Americans. So, Your Excellency, I'm very happy to be here.
The death of Senator Murisi Zhizhai brought to the fore simmering internal fissures within the CCC, which in the past week played out on social media, X Spaces, and even at the funeral. First, there was chaos at the funeral of late Senator Murisi Zhizhai when factions within the CCC and opposition clashed. Even attempts by the masters of ceremony to bring order failed. The leaders in the CCC even turned to a Twitter space to show their unhappiness with their former leader Nelson Chamisa, who has since dumped the party. Jacob Mafume, the mayor and spokesperson of the party, led by Watchman Ncube, was taking no prisoners.
Look, the problem is that we look down on each other. We seem to be ahistorical in our understanding of our respective contribution. Everyone here speaks so highly of their contribution from where they are. They speak so passionately about how they helped, how they did not sleep. But they don't understand when Job Scala spends 2 years in jail and comes back being mocked because he probably spoke in an accent. They don't understand how a person feels when they go to jail and come back and they are being told they are nothing. But yet here, everybody speaks so passionately about their own contribution from various corners of the world. But those of us who are in the center, we find that our contribution is minimized versus somebody who probably didn't, who says they didn't sleep. You slept in jail. I know the jail cells. I know the stories. I slept with 150 people. I got COVID. People died in the cell that I was in. We carried the people out. I slept with 150, 300 and so forth individuals in one cell. We had one toilet. We had no windows. It was raining. The Christmas in jail, New Year in jail, and for it to 2.5 years for job scholar. Most of these compatriots slept in this jail. Yet it is so minuscule, it is so minimized, and others' contribution from wherever the corner of the world they are, it's so magnified. It means the world to them. That at one point they didn't sleep during an election time. People didn't sleep in their homes. People were beaten. Ladies were abducted. We went to pick them up, and it becomes minimized. I don't understand it.
Nelson Chamisa, the former leader of the CCC, had earlier addressed mourners, telling them that even though Sijai had later joined Sengezo Shabangu after accepting appointment as a senator, he had fought a good fight in the trenches of democracy.
Ndinoziziva kuti munhu aida kushandira nyika ende kuti azenga kuseneti nekuda kwezvakada haizvozvo hazvina mhaka izvo hatitarisi izvo isi totarisa pakabata munhu zvakadi zvakanaka vanenge vachidawo kuremekedza vazvizvai nekuenda kuseneti kwavakaita vane kodzero vane mvumo but isu murume uyu takabva naye kure ende ndozati murume uyu wanga ane mudongodongo nenhomba yekuti dei nyika yedu yagara zvakadi zvakanaka wongo vamwe vakaziva kuti une nhomba yekuti dei nyika yagara zvakanaka ndobva vati toda kukupa munhuwi kuti usame ungogadzirisa nhomba yaunayo aisa hatina basa neizvozvo.
Vice President Kembo Mohadi, 74, was forced to deliver part of a recent lecture at the University of Zimbabwe in Harare while seated after suddenly appearing to be disoriented and asked for water. Journalists were prevented from recording the incident by Central Intelligence Organization operatives. In October last year, Mohadi collapsed while addressing a ZANU-PF campaign rally in Masvingo's Gutu district. Journalists were forced to delete recordings of the event by the state security agents while the VP was being airlifted to an unknown destination for treatment.
Independence wasn't the only hurdle. Zimbabwe itself is a vibrant rainbow of cultures, languages, ethnicities, the Shona, Ndebele, Kalanga, and many other, each with their own traditions and way of life. The fight for liberation, the Chimrenga, brought these diverse groups together under a common goal, which is freedom. Comrades, similar to the OAU's approach, the Chimrenga embraced this rich diversity. ZANU and ZAPU, while united against embraced this rich diversity. ZANU and ZAPU, while united against the Rhodesian regime, represented different ethnic and cultural learnings. Yet they found common ground in the fight for a free Zimbabwe. The spirit of
Government has shown signs it is willing to amend the Private Voluntary Organization Bill in what could be a major climb down. Justice Minister Ziyambi this week told the media amendments to the bill are coming. This is a major climb down by President Emmerson Mnangagwa's government, which has in the past consistently accused NGOs of overstepping their bounds and needing to be closed down for attempting regime change moves. Zambia said there will be amendments without giving any detail.
No, thank you very much. Really, the primary purpose, what motivated us to amend the PVO bill was the recommendation from Financial Action Task Force, FATF. That was the primary aim, to ensure that we comply with that, we deal with issues of financing of terrorism, to deal with issues of illicit financial flows. But then we broadened it up to say, but let's look at the nature in which our laws that govern PVOs are. And we looked at it, we decided to ensure that we streamline them, we get rid of NGOs that want to participate in partisan political activities. We look at the governing structure of the body that governs the PVO, and this is what we were doing. And we've just finished an engagement with the CSOs to hear their views, take some of the issues into consideration when we proceed to Parliament to ensure that the bill is passed.
European Union Ambassador Jobs von Kickman last week on Free Talk said Zimbabwe, through the debt clearance deal, had made commitments to open space for civil society. President Mnangagwa is increasingly under pressure to live up to his own pledges to the international community as he seeks to have a way out of the $20 billion United States debt saddling his government.
So that is the reason why we commend very much the initiative taken by His Excellency to say, I would like to launch a high-level arrears clearance and debt resolution platform. And he has involved the former president of Mozambique, Chisano, and also the president of the AFDB, Adesina, to say, let's all work together with the stakeholders to find a solution for that. And therefore, this process is highly important. But it's a process which actually goes beyond only getting rid of the arrears. It's also a process where Zimbabwe has engaged with the international community on very not always easy topics, good governance, on all the economic reforms, having an open exchange about it. The land issues is a fantastic achievement in itself.
Triple C legislator Lynette Kairenyu Kore, who was recently appointed by Chabangu as leader of opposition in the House of Assembly, has distanced herself from her alleged political boss. Kore told the local TV station she did not belong to Chabangu and had not sold out.
Ototanga kushibisana uyo munhu ngewaChabangu uyo munhu ngewaChabangu kutaura chokwadi a person anedzanga mukwanira chaiye ungakwanisa ngoti uri munhu wemunhu zvandakaita ndikaita munhu waChabangu munhu wemunhu ungazoita munhu wemunhu waita munhu wemunhu wozodi munhu anoita munhu wepati ndo muzire wandinoita so iri nyaya yekungonongedzerana aiwa kunongedzerana kwaramba kwagara kuriko kubva makore nemakore zvichingonongedzerwana asi ini semuzire wamunondiita handina politics idzodzo ndine politics yekuyananisa ndine politics yekuti dai vanhu vakwanisa kuita find each other and move as a movement zvinhu zvedu zvinofamba.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa appears to be ramping up plans to hold on to power beyond 2028 when he is constitutionally supposed to step down for a new president. The 2030 Idiane Ngachitonga slogan has now become official, being chanted by cabinet ministers without restraint.
Do that my ministers the slogan kuna vandakanga vapointa handisi tamba anogona slogan here ndoda kuvatesta moyo uyaite slogan tinzwi Baba Mnangagwa oye pamberi neZANU-PF vanenge varipo Baba Mnangagwa 2030 pasi nenhubu apasa deputy vanonzi honorable Gata
Chimbakera mudenga Jehovah. Pamberi nekudzidza 2030 woye! 2030 woye! Vamunangagwa vanenge vachitonga pasi nemutinya sando.
The religious base of the apostolic sect, which has been used to probe ZANU-PF leaders, has already caught on with the wave. The grouping led by Mapostori for ED last week led the call to extend 81-year-old Mnangagwa's stay in power. In business, Zimbabwe Independent hosted the inaugural Capitals Market in Nyanga, where market leaders met with Deputy Minister of Finance David Mnangagwa and Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe officials to discuss issues afflicting the economy.
This conference takes place at a pivotal moment when our economy is experiencing significant changes, underpinned by our recent adoption of the Zimbabwe gold currency, which is meant to foster long-term currency and overall economic stability and growth. I'm aware in the past our capital markets have faced challenges, including the inability to attract foreign investment, high transaction costs, and liquidity issues. Government remains committed to the long-term growth and sustainability of the capital market, hence the deliberate agenda to continuously strive towards currency and overall macroeconomic stability. Government is also reviewing measures that were meant to deal with speculative bubble on the market, and very soon new conducive measures will be made public.
The Reserve Bank Deputy Director Financial Markets William Manimanzi told capital market leaders the bank will not be opening access to foreign currency to the general public because this would slow down dollarization.
So the risk is you don't want to remember we are going to have a de-dollarization roadmap. And that de-dollarization roadmap should give guidance in terms of where we're going. If we then have a situation where, we just allow a free-for-all, where you can actually go into a bureau de change or a bank to buy foreign currency, what are we really doing? Are we not then, pushing ourselves more and more towards 100% dollarization? So we need to be careful about how we balance these things, and that foreign exchange obviously has got to come from somewhere. So are we utilizing the reserves that we will have built to sell to the public? I think it's a policy issue, but as far as I'm concerned, what we don't want to do is end up pushing the economy more into dollarization.
We turn to our neighbors, South Africa, who have just come out of an election which has humbled both the ANC and ZANU-PF here at home. The ANC is now in a dilemma after it failed to get a majority that will allow the party to govern. Attempts to form a government of national unity are facing a serious resistance from both EFF and MK led by former President Jacob Zuma. Back home, ZANU-PF appears uncomfortable with a possible coalition between DA and ANC.
We have therefore agreed that we will invite political parties to form a government of national unity as the best option to move our country forward.
We turn to sport, where the national team is singing the blues in South Africa. Tinashe Matambo gives us more.
Thank you, Chidi. I am Tinashe Matambo with the Your Spot. We turn to the loud noise that ended with nothing but a big fall for the national soccer team in South Africa this evening. It seems all the boys could do was sing their way to a disappointing afternoon for the Jairus Tapera led the senior Zimbabwe national men's team. The Warriors who embarrassingly lost 2-0 to the Crocodiles of Lesotho in Group C World Cup qualifying match. The defeat was a harsh reality check for a team that had been touted favourites to win the fixture easily but ended up falling with a third. Lesotho took the early lead in the 21st minute before Jane Tabancho doubled the lead just after the half-hour mark. The 2 goals were enough to pocket the 3 points for the Crocodiles of Lesotho. The loss leaves the Warriors, who play their home fixture away in South Africa owing to substandard stadia, with a mountain to climb if they hope to qualify for the World Cup. With tough matches ahead, they will next face South Africa at Free State Stadium on Tuesday, Bloemfontein, as they seek to polish their fading World Cup qualifying hopes. Back to you, Chidi.
Thank you, Tinashe and Henry Mara, for giving us details from South Africa. Now we turn to the social media moment of the week. This week we have a song from Apostle for ED, who sang and danced songs chasing away those who don't agree with President Mnangagwa's policies. This was the News in Brief. Join us next week for the weekly News in Brief. I'm Chengeti Chidi, signing out for HSTV News.